Hi guys, and welcome to our live stream today. And hopefully I remember everything technological because that's always an issue. If this is your first time here, welcome. What we do is we write in short little sprints, just like in track, except way more fun than track. 15, 10-minute sprints where you don't think about the writing, you don't think about the words, you just get some words on the paper. And for me, I find that really works, especially when I go through a lot of things. Like I remember after my mother died, I had a lot of trouble going back to writing. And I have a friend, Susan Meyer, who does this whole presentation about 10 minutes, like doing things in 10-minute sprints. And she said, just write for 10 minutes. And it was probably the best advice I'd ever had. So when I get overwhelmed or when I feel like I don't have enough time to write or I don't know what to write, sometimes I just put the timer on for 10 minutes. And that really helps me a lot with getting something down on the page. So that's a big part of the concept behind these writing sprints and why I started them. Plus, it's a lot easier for me if I haven't been working on my book all week to kind of dip in for 10 minutes at a time and then write something and come back out. And that's how it's been for this week. So if you've been watching the channel or my TikToks, then you see that I've been hither and yon. I think I added it up and I've been to like 9 states in the last 6 months. A lot of travel here, back to back to back trips. Like I just did New York and then 3 days later turned around and went to Colorado. And then I'm turning around and going someplace else next week. And yeah, just when I thought I was going to be home for a couple months, turns out I'm not. But anyways, that really interrupts my writing schedule and it makes it really difficult to get back in. So nice to see everybody here, Cheryl and Brenda and Wendy and Robert. Too bad you can't make it, but we will definitely see you next week. And you guys can always watch the replay because I load that right after we're done with the live stream. So it's always there and available if you want to watch it. What's a new video this week? Let me put that up there. The new video this week is about setting. I had gone to the Stranger Things exhibit in Vegas, and it was just so cool to see the actual sets like put there in that store. And it was actually a store, but they had the phone, they had the couch, they had the walls, they had everything that was really, really cool in there with like the Christmas lights lighting up the different letters. And so that made me think about setting and about how to bring that to life. Plus, I'd read a couple books that had really strong settings in them. And I wouldn't say that I do a lot of setting. I talk about that a little bit in the video about how that works in my books because I'm more all about the family and the characters. I'm more of a character-driven writer than anything else. But the parts of the setting that are important to the story, I make sure I spend time on because they are very vital to the characters and to showing the characters and also showing how different characters feel about the setting. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. There's 5 mistakes you may be making and how to fix them in this week's video. So be sure to check that out. And there's also a little short with my dog Daisy because I decided I'd do something fun and have her pick what I was going to write next, which is actually what I'm going to write today. And that was called adding a character. She did not pick kill off a character. So let's get right into it because we only have so much time, and I'm sure everybody here wants to be writing, and as do I. I always look forward to this day, and I'm so excited to do 15 minutes with you guys. Hey, Miss Blogger, nice to see you. So we'll play a little music, we'll write for 15 minutes, and then we will come back and talk about writing. So if you have a question about writing, be sure to drop it down below and I will answer it when we come back. put up the writing prompt. I just realized that when I looked up. Um, so Miss Blogger had a great question. Can the character master plan and the master plotting plan be used for making an outline, or is it only for pantsers? It's for everybody, Miss Blogger. I use parts of it for my own books. I don't use the whole thing because I'm a little bit of a pantser, but a little bit of a plotter too. It's really about getting you to think about the characters and how that their particular issues that they have, their weaknesses, their strengths, their traumas in their past, how those will impact the plot, because that's what creates a character driven book. And when you have a character driven book, readers connect with it and love it because they connect with characters. They don't connect with car chases. So that's what you want to do. Hi, Vanilla Daddy. I'll put a link up to where the master plans are because they're free. They're in my community. And the only reason that they're in my community, which is free, is because I wanted to have a platform to keep them on where I wouldn't be subjected to anybody taking over a platform and then all of a sudden renaming it to a letter. So I just wanted it to be in a place that I controlled, not somebody else. So it's on my platform and my what do you call it? What do I call it? My circle community, and it's free. So let me load those in the. I'll look up the link while you guys are chatting amongst yourself because the links for the resources, I gotta find that. So anyways, there's a whole bunch of resources on the pages of my circle community, and again, they're all free. You just gotta register for the site to do that. And what all you get there is basically some. Oh, I think I forgot to copy it. Basically, a weekly notice that says this is what's going on over there, which tells you what I posted, what discussions we've had, and what videos went up on the YouTube. It's just one once a week newsletter that goes out, and you don't even have to read it. Hi, Brenda. Nice to see you. And I wanted to tell you that I did get your email, and you're the first one to submit for the mastermind. So your pages are definitely in. Those of you who are in the mastermind groups, I take 5 people, up to 5 people each month, and I critique their work and give them feedback in the mastermind group. Those are small groups that are limited to 15 people at the most. And I think I'm going to kind of keep them around 10 because I have one group at 10 and one group that has 2 spaces in it. So it's at 8. And I think that that's a good size. When you get too many people, then sometimes it's a little hard to kind of make sure everybody gets some time. So the masterminds, if you go to the website, you will see that there's a couple of spaces on there. If you click on the Become a Mastermind thing, it's a very affordable program, I think. And it's something that I wished I had had when I first started out because I needed somebody to tell me what I was doing wrong because I was doing a lot wrong back when I first started out. And a lot of these things that I was doing wrong are the things that become the basis of the videos that I release. So yes, and Miss Blogger, yes, I do know what a misbelief is. So in case you guys aren't familiar with me, I think almost everybody that's commenting anyways is, I am a New York Times, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Publishers Weekly, and Amazon bestselling author of 85 books published in 24 countries for 4 of the big 5, and also some that I have self-published. I think 75 of my books are with major publishers, and I think I've published like 10-ish, maybe more, on my own. I kind of stopped counting after 85 because it's a good number. Like when I get to 100, then I'll say 100. But 85 sounds like a good number, and I don't want to keep upping it every 2 months because I had a book come out in January and another book coming out, I want to say the end of the year, I think, or maybe November. I've forgotten when. So I've been doing this for a while, a really long time, and 85 books in, I don't know, I don't remember how many years, but since 1998, I think my first book came out. 1997, my first book came out. So yeah, it's been a lot in there. So I encourage you guys to check those things out. They're just extra things. Again, the community is free and the masterminds are obviously a paid for thing, but you are getting my unlimited attention on your pages for, once a month for that hour and a half that we have. And a lot of the people that are on this chat right now are in the masterminds. And so they'll tell you how valuable it has been because I've seen massive growth in everybody that's in the mastermind groups in the last few months. It's just been amazing. So how'd you guys do with the writing? And let me put the writing prompt up because obviously I'm forgetting about this. One of the things that I was thinking about, because I was looking, my Alexa, or Echo, whatever that thing is, it shows me pictures throughout the day. One of the things that came up was my car from when I was a teenager. And I have a car story, of course, which I'll tell you in the next break. But I really think that car is a kind of pivotal moment in your character's life. it seems like it's nothing, right? But not everybody gets their license at 16. Not everybody gets a car at 16. Some people get gifted like a Corvette from their parents. It's brand new. Other people scrimp and save to, buy a little Dodge Dart. So what kind of car your character had when they first started out and the story behind that can impact them. Because maybe they did scrimp and save and have this battered Dodge Dart, but they went to a really fancy, ritzy school and they always felt like they didn't fit in. So now, as an adult, they're that person that's always wearing Louis Vuitton shoes and carrying a Gucci purse and all of that. So, those kinds of things that happen to them when they're younger have an impact on them as an adult. And so, these little writing prompts that I put up are ways for you to check out other things with your characters. So, if you don't have anything to write about today, feel free to try the prompt. If you don't want to do the prompt now, just jot it down and do it later. Or just think about it, like, what kind of car did my character have? And how did they get it? How did that impact them? How did that make them feel? My car I was very embarrassed about, but I was grateful to have a car. So, all right, let's go for another 15 minutes. I did like a few hundred words, so it was really good after having some inspiration over the week. So I will hit this thing for another 15 minutes and I will see you guys soon. Okay, there we go. That was another 15 minutes. And Miss Blogger asked, can I make a video on how to find your character's misbelief along with backstory or flashbacks to show the reader where the misbelief originally came from and how it impacts their decisions? Actually, I basically have a video about that because the misbeliefs are their deep emotional wounds. These are the things that bother them about themselves. And I have an entire playlist on characters, which probably is your best place to start. Let me pull up the link to it. Because it's got a lot of stuff in there about character deep emotional wounds, because that's what I call them, because I think that the misbeliefs that we get about ourselves all come from the traumas that we go through when we're younger, and that inform us and make us think that we are this way or that way. And so that's, I think, where those kinds of things come from. So I'm all about what are those deep emotional wounds for the character and how do those come about. I do have another video coming next week that's also on going deep with your characters. But those ones there have a lot to start with. And I also have a whole series, I think 2 or 3 of them on backstory as well. Because backstory is all of the things obviously that happen before the book starts, but you don't want to put it in unless it is triggered by a moment in the plot. I think I said this before, but like I only think about my mother making homemade bread every Sunday when I smell homemade bread or I see homemade bread. And I think I actually mentioned that in one of my other videos recently. I mean, I think about her. She's been gone for a long time often, but I don't think about that specific memory of helping her make bread on Sundays unless I smell it, see it, hear it, somebody mentions it. So that is triggered. Just as we in real life have reactions that are triggered by traumas that we had in the past, that, you know, like if you were in a domestic violence situation and then you see people arguing or beating each other up when you're outside of it, that will trigger the memories of that domestic violence or trigger those same survival instincts that you have. Just as that happens in real life, it's the same thing with your characters. So the backstory is worked in when it has an actual trigger that makes it come to the forefront for the character. Otherwise, we just don't go around thinking about our pasts. I mean, most of us really don't, unless you're in therapy, and then you're kind of forced to. We just don't think about it a lot. We're really consumed by the day-to-day and by getting through whatever our goal is at the moment. And your characters are too, because they already have an external goal, motivation, and conflict going on. They already have things outside of their past that they want to accomplish in the present day, and they have strong reasons for wanting to accomplish that. So they're going to be kind of heads down trying to get there. But just as they're trying to get there, these things are going to come up that trigger their memories or their issues from the past and force them to start confronting those deep emotional wounds. That isn't necessarily what happens in real life, because otherwise we wouldn't be going to therapy. But, you know, the things that come up that force you to confront your emotional fears give you an opportunity to grow and change. And that's what you want to do for the character. So if you have that character that runs from a fight, because let's say she grew up in a family that was always fighting and dad beat mom up a lot or whatever, so she's always running from fighting, then you're going to put her into a situation where there is some fight, or she has to fight in order to survive. Maybe she's in some Walking Dead spinoff. And so that forces her to overcome her fears of those things and take control for herself. If you watch The Walking Dead, there's actually Carol in the very beginning is married to a guy who beats her up all the time. And the trauma of losing her daughter and her husband makes her a whole different person. If you see Carol at the beginning of the Walking Dead series, and then at the end, she's a completely different person because she has grown and changed through all of these encounters where she had to stand up for herself and she had to rely on herself and she had to confront her fears of, you know, attacking the zombies and what the zombies could do to her. So that's a great character study for how a character can grow and change. Now, granted, that's like, I don't know, what, 12 seasons, 11 seasons? But that's what happens in a book. So Vanilla Daddy asked, do I have any advice on how to stop overthinking what I write? Yes, I do actually have some. I have a playlist on motivation and stuff like that, because I totally get the overthinking. Let me look at the playlist and see if I can find the actual videos that I have on that. And I'll do that during our next writing sprint, because it's really easy to do that. One of the reasons that we do these 10-minute sprints is to keep you from to keep you from overthinking. I want you to just write anything. Write about your character's car, write about your character's mom, write whatever you want without thinking about it, without worrying whether it's going to work in the book, because that overthinking will keep you stuck on page 1. Now, that said, I think that that comes down to a matter of fear sometimes. And I'll find that video that's about the common fears that we all have, because I find that when I'm in a place of insecurity or fear, I tend to be really paralyzed in my book and not moving forward. So let me find those videos while we do another sprint, and I'll pop those into the chat for you, Vanilla Daddy, so that you can grab those links and go watch them. They're all on the playlist of motivation, but there's a lot of shorts in there too, so those don't necessarily apply to what I was talking about. Well, they do, but anyways. I'm talking too much. What do you do for over talking? So, okay, so let's do 10 minutes this time, and I will find those videos and I will be right back, and let me know if that answered your questions, Miss Blogger and Vanilla Daddy. All right, see you guys soon. Hey, that was a quick 10 minutes. And of course, it had like 700 text to answer in the middle of it. So I did that. But I did put a bunch of links in there to videos for you guys and the playlists and things like that to help you hopefully answer your questions on that. And if it doesn't, then just let me know. Drop a comment anywhere on the page or on the Facebook or any of the platforms that Writing Compelling Fiction is, because I see them all. So yes, Gayla, the pages for the Thursday mastermind group have to be on Sunday at midnight, and the pages for the Tuesday mastermind group, which I don't think there's anybody here from that group here today, is on the 21st at midnight, so that I have time to look at them and get back to you guys. So I think that we're gonna just end with the 3 sprints today, because I've been traveling a lot and think I'm getting sick, sadly. And how you insert a trigger into your story when your characters have PTSD. You just do. So you put them in there with a moment that triggers their PTSD. So I have a scene in the Homecoming Man Gets Homecoming Queen, some kind of title like that, where my character has literal PTSD from being in the war, and a car backfires, and he goes through all of the exercises he was taught in therapy to kind of get through it, but for 5 seconds there he feels like he is back in Afghanistan or Iraq, I forget where I had him fighting, and as if it's the fighting all over again. So that car backfiring triggers that memory, makes him feel like he's right back there, and then he has to kind of step back. Anybody who's dealt with PTSD knows you gotta kind of step back, take a deep breath, ground yourself, realize what's around you. So he kind of feels the concrete, he smells the oil in the car that he's working on, notices the tools, because that's how you ground yourself to get out of a traumatic memory like that. And so that's what he does. So that's exactly how you do it. You find a place to put it in there to trigger that character, and then you got to figure out how will that character react, fight, flight, or freeze. And I just talked about that in one of my recent videos, and or maybe it's coming up in the deep character one, but I do talk about it a lot. I talk about a lot of these same things. So yes, for sure, put it in there and then figure out how that character is going to react based on the impact of that. And you will see me say that a lot in the videos. Why did this happen? What was the impact? Because impact is what creates reactions, is what creates fallout, is what creates all of these misbeliefs and insecurities, anxieties and fears, and all of those things that us adults are all a jumble of. So, and thank you, Cheryl. I think I answered your question, Miss Blograrsart, again, but I think I did answer it. And thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week. Not traveling next Friday that I know of, although I may end up having to travel next Friday. So I'm going to put the live stream up as scheduled, and if you guys see it not there on Friday, then it means I did have to travel. I have a possible trip coming up next weekend. So anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you all have a great writing week, and check out the new video on the channel. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.